Hello, hello. This is Dawn McCoy with Flourish Leadership Group. Ignite your leadership to the next level. I am so glad you tuned in for another edition of Leadership Reflections and Reflections of the Day about issues that are important to all of us, and leadership being one of those topics near and dear to my heart and hopefully yours. If you can hear me, type a 1 in the box. And if you're typing in for the replay, type #replay. What I want to know and hear from you, and if you can share what I have observed, that leadership can be really remarkable during tumultuous times. It's a time when leaders are challenged with the ability to be able to fascinate what needs to be done and really to step up to the plate. Now, we have leaders who can do that readily and some who cannot. But I want to make sure that we're doing creative things as leaders to be able to sustain what we do and to keep captive audience, to make sure we address those crisis situations that might be happening and really the unexpected, because who knows, it's something that we have that is not tried and true, but certainly we learn as we go. So what I want to make sure that you do as a leader is make sure you're equipped with those skills. So one of them that I think is very paramount, as we know, during any crisis situation, a leader must communicate. I know we all know communication can come in different forms. It can be verbal, meetings, updates, telephone, email, fax, etc., and sometimes telepathy. I mean, it comes in many different fashions and forms. So we have to think constantly about how we as leaders can be creative at what we do. And I say that because too often it can be mundane or it can be parochial and not really make the mark. And so I want to submit to you a creative way to communicate with those who are in your circles is to make sure you're doing something that might be personable, might be catchy, and might be obviously something that's written in your own tone. The important part is to get a message out there in a crisis situation. And leaders must do that quickly. They must do it succinctly and be able to canvas all of the breadth of issues that are there, those that can be talked about or discussed readily. But I want to make sure that you know as a leader that it's important that you are communicating in a way that says, wow, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? Creatively using your voice to convey and share. And it's doing just like this, being able to convey what must be done. I took pen to paper some years ago and wrote a book, Leadership Building Blocks, and it was the fundamentals of making sure through my 7-step leadership development process that people are doing what they must to become and be better leaders. And so I submit to you that in this chaos that can ensue, sometimes with uncertainty or emergency situations that leaders don't know what they should be doing, that it's quite simply communication. And being creative and doing it, bringing your unique style, bringing your flair, whatever it might be, to the table, bring that and all of it, and how you communicate out to those who you support. I know that sometimes we can get caught up and distracted and being just completely off the mark. And so I want to just say, keep it simple with your communication, be creative. Don't overdo it, but be able to be conveying a message of importance and timeliness. The second important point of being creative as a leader is to really flesh out the issues. There are so many things that may be happening that is multi-layered, multi-factored, and obviously very complex. Rather than tackling everything and all of the information that needs to be shared, take one little piece and talk about that. And be able to convey how important it is that you need your team to plug in, to double down, to dive in, to step back. Whatever it is you need them to do, convey that one thing. It's so important that we as leaders think about how we must be more effective at what we do rather than overwhelm or give everyone all of the big picture when they may have just needed one part or one piece of what was important for them to know. I've taken actually some time in the last 6 months or so prior to some of the things that have unfolded in the national landscape and otherwise, because I've always known and felt an obvious urgency for making sure leaders are equipped with the skills that they need. In the last few weeks, I've taken pen to paper and compiled a checklist, if you will, and I want to make it readily available to you for you to download. I'll be dropping a link in the comments below here after the video and making sure that you can get a copy of my Crisis Leadership Kit. It is a crisis leadership checklist, actually, that's going to be part of a broader kit that I'm working on right now. I am so excited that I've got this underway, and it's all coming together of resources and tools that I've put together over the last decade and information from the last 2 decades of speeches and remarks and insights. And so I want to make sure that you're equipped as a leader to do what you can to bring at least these 2 key principles of being creative as a leader in a crisis situation. More importantly, I want you to think about what you can do today to ramp up however you're going to step into that ring to be effective as a leader. One thing that I think that we can do as leaders is really be thinking about how we can be collectively combined in our mindset to be what we can and how we can be effective. It's important now more than ever that we do this. I'm subscribing to you to find out this week what you can do to be creative. These 2 points are just 2 of 7 on my checklist that you can download from the link that I'll be dropping in for you from the flourishleadership.com website, where you can find out more information about me at flourishleadership.com. But I also want to encourage you to follow me across social at Dawn McCoy Books. And more importantly, stay tuned every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, hear Leadership Reflections, and you can also join me for an update. I'll be posting these information and resources via flourishleadership.com. Well, I hope that this has been meaningful and significant for you. I'd love to hear your comments below about what's worked for you. What have been some of your key strategies? I'd love to hear also what has not worked. Are there some creative things that you tried that were not a win? Certainly we can learn from each other. Well, until we meet again, be enlightened, be enriched, be empowered.